Business Optimizer, this week we've got a really great show in store for you. We're going to go behind the scenes of something revolutionary that's getting ready to air on your local TV station, but we want to get you awake and ready for a powerful new change in the world. Hi, it's Melanie Benson. I'm America's leading small business optimizer, and this is a weekly series dedicated to helping you replace overwhelm and good enough results with key strategies that automatically generate exponential impact and profits. Now, I want to introduce to you two amazing and dear friends, Natalie Ledwell and Cindy Ertman. Now, Natalie Ledwell, you may know, is the co-founder of Mind Movies and is author of the best-selling book, Never in Your Wildest Dreams. She is also what I would consider a champion for change across the globe. She's recently brought a new project to the University of Columbia, where Mind Movies has donated 10,000 accounts for underprivileged youth. And this is just the beginning of a huge impact that's going to spread across the globe. I just know it. And let me share with you a little bit about my friend Cindy. Cindy Ertman is CEO and founder of The Defining Difference. And this is a success-based coaching and training company which is devoted to helping people master, and I love this, the power of intentional choice to create a defining difference in their own lives. Now, here's where it gets really fun. Both Natalie and Cindy are co-hosts, along with another one of our friends, Zena Mazika and Betsy Chassie, for Wake Up. It's a show that is a catalyst for change through its unique perspectives and inspired conversations with some of the biggest thought leaders and change agents in the world. Now, this show is getting ready to come live, and I just had to take a moment to wrestle in Cindy and Natalie into one space, which, let me tell you, is no small feat with two women on the go. But I really wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes to make a transformational event like this happen. I mean, because it really is it's a milestone that's getting ready to happen. And I keep teasing him and saying, move over, Oprah. You know, these ladies are on fire, and they're going to be taking over the transformational TV space. But we'll just know that's coming. But welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming. I mean, you guys have so much awesome stuff going on. I'm really grateful that you could make the time to be here today and share what's happening with Wake Up TV.
Yeah, well, thank you for asking us to be here. And I'm actually really, and we're both, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of Cindy as well, so excited to be sharing this concept and the story behind it, because it is a pretty interesting. It's been an interesting road, hasn't it, Cindy?
It's been a very interesting road. Thanks, Melanie, for having us on. It's exciting to be here with you, and we're just really super excited as a team to bring kind of a bigger, bolder conversation to TV. So we're really committed to this project and really excited about the people that are getting behind it as well.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I got to see some of the clips, and I was like, oh, my God, this is going to be awesome. So, I got to start by just kind of finding out, because I'm sure people all over the world want to have a TV show. There's lots of internet TV. This is a real TV show that's coming out. Did you see yourself in your visioning and goal-setting process, being part of a TV show? Was this a plan? Or tell us a little bit about how this came about for you. Let's start with Cindy.
It's interesting because I really am a huge believer in the law of attraction, and I've just seen it at work in my own life for so many years. So it's kind of interesting that a month before, I was attending an Oprah's conference up in Northern California, and I'm really big on setting intentions in my life. And I did this whole intention exercise around utilizing television as a greater medium to reach more people, to bring messages to the world that were inspirational and that really could help people redefine their own lives and rewrite their own stories. So it was pretty magical that 30 days later, I get a call from an executive producer, and Nat and I talked about the possibility of what was to come. And Wake Up was born. So I can't really tell you how this works. I can just tell you that when you put intention and emotion behind something and it's for the greater good and it's got a really strong purpose and passion behind it, my personal experience is things really do manifest in our life. So it was a really beautiful expression that came forth, and I know we all feel incredibly grateful to be part of this project and like I said, bring a bigger conversation to the world.
Yeah, I love that. Now, how about for you?
My story is a little different. I actually, it was just over a year ago, I was talking to Glenn, my partner, and said, look, I want to spend some more time up in LA. And we organised a place up here for me. And I said, because I want to do some more mainstream media stuff. And what I actually visualised was me being interviewed on other people's shows. And I actually did a media boot camp in about August or September of last year. And like the whole process of having to have canned responses and have to fit into their structure was like, yeah, this doesn't feel right to me. I don't resonate with this. This is kind of not what I want. But I still held this vision or this intention of being on mainstream media. And then in December, I get an email from these two random women that I don't know saying we want to offer Natalie a TV show. And I'm like, yeah, sure, right, whatever. So I actually ignored the first email because I'm thinking, whatever. And then they emailed again and said, no, we really want to talk to you. So, so it was basically a matter of having that conversation, sharing the brilliant idea and the format they had and the ideas they had for the show, to within 6 months of that conversation already being on a cable network in 100 million households across the US. I'm still in half disbelief that this is actually happening. My head is still spinning.
So what I took out of that is set a really clear intention and then play hard to get.
Well, and I think too, it's like setting the intention but not being so specific about how it's going to show up.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, sometimes I know I've been stuck in this place too, where a lot of opportunities. I used to think there were only a few opportunities in the world, and what I've come to understand is there's plenty of opportunities. It's really the deciphering process of what's good and great, deciphering good from great. Because we get so caught up in taking all opportunities that sometimes we are not awake when the great opportunity shows up. So really getting clear on your personal vision first, and then really making intentional choices to drive you towards that. So when a magnificent opportunity like Wake Up actually shows up, you can receive it, because it was. We had to trust in this process quite a bit because there wasn't any certainty around this, as Nat can certainly attest to. We didn't know if this would ever materialize. This was a crowd-funded show. It was sponsored by ordinary people in ordinary lives with 6 really determined women just committed to trust in the process to bring this forth to the world. And lo and behold, we have 5 actual shows with amazing thought leaders that will be airing on May 9th. So pretty incredible.
I want to dig into something for a second that I think is really powerful, because a lot of people, you said be awake to the opportunities.
Right.
And even if we are awake and we can say yes, a lot of people will hold back or experience resistance because they don't know how, or they don't feel ready, or, there's this maybe a limiting belief that starts to kick in. Did you guys both feel ready for this, like on all levels? Or was there okay, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm going to say yes because this is in alignment with my intention? I'm kind of curious where you were at with that.
Well, for me, I was ready.
Okay.
I was absolutely ready. I had just spent a whole year of really working, doing a lot of inner work, working on myself, stepping out in my confidence. Last year I call it my coming out year. Because I think it was the first time in a while that people really got to see me, and it was the first time I got to see me for a long time. So I'd really lost sight of who I was. And so I got into a space of stopping blaming everyone else for, where I was in life, and started to take responsibility. And I think too, we talk about, these opportunities. I think that, just because, you miss one opportunity or one maybe passes you by, you've got all these, you think, do I have to say yes to all of them? But the answer is no. The thing is, when you are in a vibrational alignment or a match with this amazing future that you want to create, or this reality that you want to create, when the right one comes along, you're going to feel it in your bones. You're going to know, because it really excites you and it really blows your hair back. And so even if other opportunities have passed you by, it doesn't mean that you won't ever get any more opportunities, because while you remain a vibrational match by having your intention and doing your visualizations and taking that action and those steps forward, opportunities will always come your way.
Yeah, and even if this hadn't worked out, it still would have been great because you were activating the intention and saying yes, this or something better, right?
Absolutely.
I like that. What about for you, Cindy? Did you feel ready?
Well, my story's a little bit different than that. I jumped off a big cliff last July when I left a very secure, high executive position to launch the Defining Difference, which I had trademarked in 2009 and been building the platform and integrating the personal development work actually into the mortgage space. I've been a national mortgage trainer for a long time. And so I was already in such risk mode that when this came along, there was a part of me that felt ready. There was another part of me that was scared to death because I didn't have the background for this medium. But I really learned, because I've done so many things now in my life, that, and trust me, I was so risk adverse a few years back, and I've just learned that the growth and the excitement in life and what really propels us to those next levels are taking that risk and not being ready. Because you know what? Was I ready for this? No, but I did it anyway. And the first day of filming, my heart almost jumped out of my chest. But the second day of filming, I got back in my body and I was having fun and I saw the vision and what was possible through what we were creating. And I would have never had one of the most magnificent experiences of my life had I not leaned in and taken the risk and felt the fear and did it anyway.
Cindy, let's get practical for a second, because this is huge. Like, I have clients that feel fear and just get stalled out, right? And I've certainly experienced that, and I think we all have. But how you find the courage, I call it mustering up your courage, like how you muster up that courage to do something that scares you crapless. Can you give us a practical step there?
Well, for me, when I first got on the stage, I was presenting at a conference in Las Vegas about 10 years ago, and I had to get on the stage in front of 2,000 people. And candidly, that put the sheer terror into me at the thought of doing that. And I actually prepped for many months. I actually went and sought, a therapist to help me get over my fear of public speaking and to just develop some meditative practices and visualization. I've used visualization a lot. And on this show, I actually visualized the show already being done and it being a huge success and us, cheering our champagne glasses and toasting one another. And I really went into the visualization and we'd already created this magnificent thing. And so that helped me a lot. So I have used a lot of practices and meditation. I use breathing. Before I go into a situation where I get really nervous, I will take 3 really deep breaths. I always say a prayer to use me as a vehicle to be in service to others. And when I do that and I realize this is not about me, this is about being in service to someone else and to other people and to help create a defining difference in someone else's life, and when that's not about me anymore, then the fear starts to dissipate. So that's worked really well for me.
I love that. Natalie, this is kind of a rich opportunity for you to share as well. Like, if you ever felt like really out of your comfort zone and had to take action?
Yes, all the time. Oh my God. See, I feel that fear is like a tool for me. I don't feel like I'm actually moving forward or expanding or serving in the best way I possibly can unless there is some kind of fear involved. Yeah. And I think probably one of the biggest ones that I had just recently was with this project in Colombia. We created the My Movies for Kids version of our software. And I'm talking to the dean of this university in Medellin in Colombia, and he's asking through his interpreter if I can create a curriculum for 6 to 12-year-old children to be taught in the schooling system there. Now, you can't say no to that. So I'm like, okay, yes. And I'm like, how many lessons? And, and what are the ages of the children? And, okay, and when do you need this? And we had a 2.5-week deadline to put it together. And I remember getting on the phone, and I know I called you, Mel, because I was like, how am I going to do this? I had no idea how to do this. I had, yes, I know these principles, but how do I create a curriculum to be taught in schools? And one of the best pieces of advice that you gave me is like, well, first of all, you said, Natalie, you're a master manifester. You can do this. So I'm like, okay. And I did what Cindy did. I just stopped and I breathed. I actually created a My Movie. I could sit in my visualizations and see myself I could see myself in the classroom with the children and them coming up to me and telling me how much this program had changed their lives, the teachers, how much it had changed their lives. And so the more I could sit in that, the more I could relax and get out of that stressful negative emotion and step into, quiet my mind long enough to get that flash of insight or tap into my intuition to figure out where I was going to go next.
I get chills. It's so true that, if we can get the monkey chatter out of the way, it's really just about getting centered and focused. We can accomplish anything.
Absolutely.
And I know that's been my biggest breakthroughs is, I got to quiet the the dissenters in my brain and find that bigger why. And it always moves us towards the goal if we're, as Cindy said earlier, awake.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny because I was just in a meditation yesterday and then talking to a friend of mine after, and she said, I just can't quiet my mind. I can't quiet my brain. And I said, well, no, don't get me wrong. It's not like I've mastered this practice. It's not like my monkey brain isn't running and then I have to continue to flick the thoughts out of my brain and come back to center. And it's kind of that little mental reminder, no, come back to center, breathe, be still. Sometimes for me, like in a meditation, using a mantra is helpful. Because if I'm focusing on a mantra, like sometimes I'll just say, what does the universe want me to know? And just by reminding myself of that question, I'm not thinking about other things. So sometimes having a phrase or a mantra or a short prayer or something that works for you to still the mind, like you're saying, because the creativity comes in that stillness. And not always when you're in the stillness. It may come hours later, days later, and all of a sudden this, like you said, Nat, like things run through you. Things come through you, and that's what's so beautiful. And then learning to trust your intuition, that's really a special message that you need to share with others. Because sometimes like really great things come, but we're not trusting that that's the message. Like the intuition part of this, like really trusting your heart and your intuition. When those thoughts come, they're coming for a reason, and trust in them.
Absolutely. I love the conversation keeps coming back to trust. Because I think when you're really saying yes to a greater fulfillment, a greater level of getting your purpose fulfilled on the planet, there's a lot of trust. And knowing, what's a distraction or being willing to, say no to things that don't feel right and trust that part of us that knows, it's huge. It makes everything flow easier when you learn to trust that part of you and, trust that, it's going to work out in the best way if you just keep staying intentional about the track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit more about why Wake Up TV is such an extraordinary show. And as being said, that there's a really unique perspective that's coming to the world. And, I know a little bit about what's been going on there, and I'm wondering, can you share from your own perspective, why do you think this is going to have such a huge impact, not just on our community, but potentially on just, households all over the U.S. and hopefully the world?
Right.
Well, the really interesting part about this show is that the four of us hosts that are on the show, we've had no media training. And to be honest with you, the first 5 pilot episodes that we recorded was a little chaotic, to say the least.
No.
So we had no choice but to just show up as ourselves.
Yeah, authenticity.
Because we couldn't be anything else. We're just like, okay, we're just going to get in there and do our best and show up as ourselves. So when we're talking about, and like, of course, so that's how we show up. Then we've got the directors of the show and the producers and the writers, and everyone seems to be coming together on this show, and we all have the same vision, but we're showing up as the best version of of the role that we're playing on the show. And when all of these forces come together, like we had one conversation that we had was just magical, was how love and fear show up in our life. And, nothing is rehearsed. It's just like, okay, we're talking about love and fear for 9 minutes. Go. So we just, go into the conversation. So we're just showing up real. And the other thing, too, is what we don't do. Like, we don't gossip. We don't, pick on what other women are wearing. We're not sensationalizing what's going on in their life. We're really just focusing on issues that come up for us as women with real solutions, talking from real experience, and hopefully bringing some experts into the show that are going to really be able to show a light as to, the direction that women can take and open up a conversation that we don't have.
Oh, I love that. And, I think there's a corner being turned in the world. many of us are so disillusioned and we feel so disconnected. It's like I don't even like watching TV, especially the news and regular talk shows. I mean, once in a while I'll watch the cooking shows because, I like my food.
Yeah. Yep, who doesn't?
Exactly. But, there's something really magical about hearing real women being their real selves and having real conversations, because this is what we do anyway, right? Like, we're sitting around on your couch having a glass of wine,
Absolutely.
Talking about this stuff, or, we're at an event and we're having lunch and we're talking about real stuff. Why not bring it out in a bigger way?
Well, and I think, too, to be role models for other women, I mean, I know raising a daughter and how tough it can be, women can be tough. And, I mean, all people can be tough. But at the end of the day, to teach women, too, how to really show up from that sort of loving and supportive space and to have a different conversation, because I think, we have the great fortune of created amazing relationships with people. And I have amazing female friends in my life that have been so supportive and held space for me, at times when I really, really needed that support. And so really being able to have a powerful conversation about how we can shift in our own lives to show up differently for other people. But, Wake Up is such a magnificent opportunity. We had amazing guests like Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Souls, and Lisa Nichols, who's just incredible and such an inspiration to the world. When she told me that she traveled 297 days last year to get her message out into the world, I'm like, the level of commitment that these people bring to create positive change in the world is just really miraculous. We had Don Miguel Ruiz, who I was able to interview, and my experience with him is he just shows up as love. He doesn't just talk about love. He embodies love. And so to be in his presence and his mindfulness, you can't help but stop for a minute and say, wow, look at, he exemplifies and models how to show up in the world as love to all the people he encounters. And it's just such a beautiful gift to be in his presence. So, I know personally, I gave up TV a few years ago. I don't watch the news. I stopped watching the news because it was all so sensationalized. It was all so negative. And talk about watching the news and then trying to come to work and show up as a positive force, at the office every day. I was like, that was not a good way to start my day. So we're so committed to bringing, real conversations about real people with real solutions, about the challenges that we're facing today. And with new thought leaders and new ideas from a real positive perspective to help people really create positive shifts in their own lives. So it's just really, really exciting to be a part of. And I have to say, these three co-hosts are just talk about being in a space of inspiration. It was amazing.
I love that. Natty. I'm coming up with new nicknames for you all the time. Natalie, was there a guest that surprised you, the way they showed up and what came out of the conversation as you guys have taped these first episodes?
One of the episodes, or one of the interviews that I did was with Dr. Shirley, and I actually don't know how to pronounce her last name. It's quite a complicated one, but she was on the show that we did on parenting. And it was really interesting, her take on, how to deal with children's behavior. Because the thing is, one of the discussions we had on that show was like, well, as a parent, how hard or how different is it for us now as it was when we were kids and our parents were parents. So it's like she was actually coming up with some really interesting ideas about how we should be dealing with behavior, but it all came from a place of love. And it's like, I'm not a parent, but that really makes obvious sense to me. And I think that we forget that. We get into all these like technical things about how we should be dealing with behaviors and so forth, when really if all we do is come from a place of love and hold a space and respect for our children, then it can be amazing how we can actually change their behavior. That was mind-blowing for me.
Well, I'm excited to see that one. I was just thinking in my mind, I don't know if this would fit with the show's theme, but I was thinking, how cool would it be for you guys to interview someone who has a new positive take on dog training? Because I don't have my own kids, but I have a little fluffy beast who could infuse some new consciousness in dog training. No, I'm just kidding. But there's so many great guests that are coming on the show. I can't wait. We're going to be able to record it, right? We can put it on the DVR recording.
Yes,
Awesome. We'll get to that in a minute. So here's a burning question that this tends to come up for a lot of my guests, and I'm really curious for you because I know you both. I know you got a lot going on. You got really busy calendars. You got a lot of opportunities that are, exciting. How do you stay focused and energized to keep up with all the great stuff coming your way?
Yeah, well, for me, it's starting the day with my routine, my normal routine. I am a Bulletproof Coffee fan, in case anyone wants to look that up. But I have my morning ritual because I think if you start the day right, then that helps you to help not only for your body and your energy to be clear, but your mind is clear for the day as well. I always, when I'm waking up, I'll always ask the question while I'm kind of still in theta brainwave, starting coming out of sleep. I'll always ask the question, what do I need to do to move closer to my goals today? And then, sort of as I'm waking up, I'm getting some downloads. I actually can't meditate first thing in the morning because my brain is so connected and I've got all of these things going in my mind. Like this morning, I woke up at 20 to 6 and had to get up and start writing things down. But then I go and exercise. And as I'm exercising, I'm listening to an audio book. So I've got the physical thing happening, plus I've got the mental thing happening as well. I come back, shower, then I either meditate or I visualize before I sit down and work on a project for the day. So my mind has to be completely clear. I have a lot of different projects on the go, but I don't have to be working on every single one of them every day. So I'm like, okay, what am I working on today? And I need to stay a little bit more single focused on that, because that's what I can give that 100% attention, move to the next step on that, and then the next day I'm probably moving on to another project. But if you start the day in the right way to begin with, mentally, mind, body, spirit, the whole thing, that actually makes my day so much more productive.
Two things before we move to Cindy. One, if you want to hear more about Bulletproof, scroll back into the interviews because there's a great interview with Dave Asprey, who's the founder of Bulletproof Coffee, in the podcast. And the second thing, I love what you just described because that's exactly what I teach people in Money DNA Mastery. It's like you've got to get your head on straight. You've got to really get yourself in the right framework because if you don't do that, every single problem and challenge that comes your way is going to pull you into the muck. Like you're going to get into a downward spiral. But when you get grounded first, keeps you more positive and you're like really clear where you're going. So these little things become like little gnats that you swat away instead of big mountains that you feel like you have to climb. So great strategy. Hey, Cindy, what about you? What's your technique for getting it all done?
Well, I'll tell you that one of the challenges that I'm working on right now with all the new things that are now on my plate is getting enough sleep because I'm a night owl. So I am so aware that, I could stay up till 2 in the morning. I get my second wind after about 10:30. And I just get super creative and I don't want to shut down. But then now my days are starting so much earlier that I'm really aware that I have to focus on getting at least 7 hours of sleep a night. So that's become my latest big personal challenge of making myself turn off at about 11 o'clock at night, get rid of all technology, and start with sleep. So that's my first practice, which has been, I'm still working on that.
And you don't sleep with your cell phone, do you?
No, I do not.
Good girl.
No, my cell phone is turned off every time. And then secondly, I'm like Natalie, is that I've learned that I have to have really specific practices. I am a coffee drinker. I have my cup of coffee right when I wake up. And then I do go into a 15-minute meditation. And I'm really big on crystals. I have some favorite crystals that I hold, and I go into the short meditation. And when I have the monkey brain going on, I love Deepak and Oprah's 21-day meditation challenge. It's 15 minutes. Keeps me on track, and I love that sort of time and the space that it drops me into and gets me really grounded for my day. And then I always read something or I listen to an interview. I've got 12 books always on my nightstand, and I buy more books than I can read, so they keep stacking up, but I'm an avid reader, and I have this insatiable curiosity, so I take about 15 minutes to read through a chapter or listen to an interview or something new and inspiring for my day. And then I work out, but I work out at home for about 20 minutes because I realized that when I would join gyms, I spent a lot of money and I never went. So I realized that doing something instead of nothing and doing what I would do and what I would actually wake up and do. So I get on a treadmill. I do push-ups, sit-ups, hand weights. So I'm 15 or 20 minutes, and I spend my first hour kind of preparing for my day. And then I launch, and I just learned, too, to compartmentalize that when I'm focused on the mortgage space, that's what I have to be focused on. I've got to be really, really, really intentional about my focus. When we're working on Wake Up, we're present on Wake Up and not letting all the other chatter come in from the other parts of my life. And I'm working on the defining difference. Defining difference and Wake Up are so intertwined because they're so similar in what we're bringing forth in the world. So I'm really focused on that and compartmentalizing my day so that we're not working on 3 different components all at one time.
You know what I love that both of you did is you talked a lot about how to create your own inner strength and your inner power before you do anything practical. I love that because I think that's the key, but so few people really get that at first. It takes a little while. So real quick, Cindy, favorite inspirational book?
Well, for me, because he's been such a mentor in my own life, is Jack Canfield's The Success Principles.
Okay.
I remember when I first got it, it was so thick, I'm never going to get through this, but it's broken down into little bite-sized chunks, which I love. But the principles in that book, which are like take responsibility for your own life, that's the first principle, and it's probably the toughest one, to take 100% responsibility for your own life. And then, feel the fear and do it anyway. Decide what you want. That was one of my favorite principles because a lot of us want something different, but we don't know what it is that we want. So getting clear and deciding what you want is sometimes the best place to start. So that's been really inspirational for me.
Cool. Natalie, how about for you? When you want to tap into some inspiration, what's your go-to book that you'll pick up and read?
Mine changes all the time on the new books that I get. But one of the latest ones, which I actually shared with you, was Oprah's, Things I Know for Sure.
Love that one.
That's a great book.
Yeah, and she narrates it, the audio herself, so it really helps me to. It reminded me of so many different things to get back into practice with. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like you. I rotate through them, but I tend to always go back to Think and Grow Rich.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah, always go back to Think and Grow Rich. And there's actually a quote book, and I can't find it. I usually have it here. And then I always go back to Stephen Covey. Like there's some great nuggets of wisdom when I'm feeling scattered or getting off track. I always come back to some great Stephen Covey principles. So I am really excited to share with our community here how they can be involved with Wake Up TV, watch it, and I know there's some other ways to get involved. Let's share with them when it's going live, where they can find it, and how else they can get involved in Wake Up TV.
Well, we actually have the 8 a.m. Every Saturday morning time slot starting on May 9th. And, so we're going to be on the Pop cable network. So Pop, I know on Time Warner it's channel 175. It used to be the TV Guide channel, and it's owned by CBS and Lionsgate. So 2 massive powerhouses in the media industry, and they were looking for like maverick, out-of-the-box, unique kind of programming. So, of course, before we even had the sizzle reel done, they saw just one conversation and went, yep, this is the kind of programming we're looking at. So we have that. So that's our time slot every Saturday morning.
9 a.m. Pacific time or across all of the time zones?
It's actually 8 a.m. 8 a.m.
Oh, 8 a.m. Sorry, 8 a.m. across all time zones?
I don't know.
Good question. Okay, check your local listings. We'll make sure that you don't miss it.
Yeah. But we also have Cindy was talking before about how we did our crowdfunding. We're on a site called Crowded Reality. But if you go to wakeuptv.net, what we're looking for at the moment is looking for the right advertisers and the right sponsors for the show. So if you're watching Wake Up, we don't want you to be watching some McDonald's junk food ad or, something that's not in alignment with the message of the show. So for us to be able to attract the right sponsors, we need to show them that we actually have a viable audience. So if you go to wakeuptv.net and you click on the Facebook button, what that does is actually adds the number of friends that you have to our social currency number. So we're nearly up to about 3 million in social currency right now. So it actually shows the potential sponsors exactly that we do have an audience, that people are interested in watching the show, so that we can actually attract people that are going to enhance the message that we have.
Now, they can click Facebook, Twitter,
and LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn, okay.
If you have all of those accounts.
And but not Pinterest or Instagram yet, right?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
But you can still share it there.
Currency is really important for the show right now, so that's one way that people can really help. Plus, they're forming a whole backstage pass and a community where The conversation that we have at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings is going to be the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
And the conversation is going to grow throughout the week with the Backstage Pass. So it's a really unique opportunity. We may have a quick 9-minute interview with someone on, but then they're going to be interviewing them at much greater depth on the Backstage Pass. So you'll get much more drill down of information. We're forming a real community of people to be able to get questions answered, to be able to communicate with us as hosts. So it's going to be really exciting because it's not going to end on Saturday morning. We'll help carry it throughout the week and make sure people feel supported in the process.
That's really great. I love that it's not just a conversation that happens on a TV show. It's like, let's create a community and stay connected and keep engaged with this conversation, because that's really where the transformation occurs. It starts with the idea, but then you actually have to take action. You have to
Absolutely
be engaged and involved with what's going to happen next. That's great. I can't wait. All right, well, I'm going to make a special request if you're listening in today. I would really love for you to help me support these amazing friends of mine. Let's be a part of a change. Let's be part of the Catalyst movement here. Let's support this social media adventure. If you're on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn, which I'm sure you are, would you do us a huge favor and just head over to that site right now? The link's down below. It's also on the screen here. Do a quick pop over there, share it in one of those places or all of those places like I did and will continue to do. Let's help really get them the support they need to make the show a smashing success. And I hope you'll tune in like I am. It would be great to keep the conversation alive there. Come back here, share what you're excited about. If you get to watch their sizzle reel, you can share a little bit about what's inspiring for you. And mark your calendars for May 9th so you make sure to catch the show live. Natalie and Cindy, thanks so much for being here and sharing this exciting, I think it's just a real life-altering opportunity that's getting ready to not just change your lives, because I have a feeling the trajectory is about ready to go off the hook for all of you, but really to be an inspiration to everyone in our community and the world as you say yes to being a greater force for change.
Melanie, thank you so much. It's just so great to be here. Really, really appreciate your support and your community support.
You got it. All right, ladies. And I can't wait to hear. As a matter of fact, one more thing. When you go do that post, will you come over here and on the comments below, just share, I shared the Wake Up TV. Let's get some momentum going and inspire everybody to get into action, all right? Okay, we'll see you all again next week with another great episode of Small Business Optimizer TV. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.